Good afternoon, everybody. It's time for recess, real estate recess, that is. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Jennifer Schurter. I'm a realtor with Real Broker here in the Portland, Oregon metro area, and really excited to be here today. It's Thursday, January 18th, here in 2024. Um, it's too late to say Happy New Year, so I won't do that. But we have a pretty packed agenda here for you today. We're going to keep it real. It's going to start off with a bang. Let's just say that. I'm going to kick things off with what I think is a bit of a hot take. And it's something I think that needs to be said. So be prepared for that. So we're going to come in hot with the hot take. The second thing we're going to talk about today is a brief touch on the RMLS Market Action Report. So if you own a home or you're aspiring to buy a property here in the Portland, Oregon metro area, this might be some information you'd care to know about. So I'm going to break down some key points with that. Keep it high level, won't go into a ton of jargon because I really want you to feel like you feel comfortable and understand that information and what that could mean for you. And the final thing, assuming we have time during our 30-minute recess today, is we're going to talk about why it's a good idea to buy a home in the winter here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm saying this as I'm looking outside and I'm watching the ice melt on the streets. So hopefully that is happening sooner than later because I'm ready for my kid to get back to school. So without further ado, we can jump into things. And if you are watching here live and you want to leave me a comment, I'd love to see it. I'd love to say hello. And if you have a question along the way, feel free to ask it. Would love to address that for you too. So welcome, and let's kick things off. We're going to start this off with a hot take, like I said. Today, we're going to talk about a survey or a piece of information from a survey that an organization called 1000 Watt is an agency that does marketing and branding, and they do some consumer studies type things for the real estate space. And they had a really interesting post on their Instagram page that I saw. Actually, a friend of mine, Erin Primrose, who's an excellent agent in the area as well, had a really interesting take on that, and I couldn't agree more. And so I think that this is extremely important to share, not just as an agent, but I think with the public as well, because I think over the course of time, there has been a disconnect, and I think that this is really going to show that. So take a look at this. So this is a post by 1000 Watt. So their Instagram handle, if you want to see it for yourself, is at 1000watt_agency. So in this post, they're asking, why do you feel that the services of a real estate agent are not necessary when buying a home? And at the top, you'll see 45% say, because I can find homes for sale myself online and tour them at open houses. Ouch. 38% say, because it seems simpler to me to just work with the agent representing the seller. 16% say, because I don't think what real estate agents do is hard, and I'm confident I can do it myself. And 1% say other. There's another reason why a real estate agent's services aren't necessary in the purchase of a home. So here's the hot take. And yeah, this could make some folks out there angry, but I think it needs to be said. And that is, if consumers, so if you're watching this and you're a consumer, if you are feeling this way or if you have this thought, it is not your fault. It isn't your fault. It is actually the fault of folks in our industry, in the real estate space, who have not done a good job over the course of time of communicating the value that a real estate agent brings to the transaction. And you could blame whatever you want for that. But what the bottom line of this I'm taking away is there's a perception amongst 45% of people who were surveyed, but with this question, that real estate agents are glorified door openers, that we just schedule the appointment, we show up, we open the door, ta-da, here's the house. But a good agent that's out there doing what they need to do for their clients is going to be providing a much greater service than that, than just opening the door. That's only a mere piece of that entire puzzle. So, and then you see 38%, it seems simpler to just work with the agent representing the seller. Well, and that's a big point of discussion in today's real estate world, which is working with the seller as a buyer, with the seller's agent. It could work out there. Disclosed limited agency is a thing that's legal. It's legal here in the state of Oregon, and I'm sure in several other states. But as a buyer, it could open you up to possible misrepresentation. It could open you up to a lot of risk. And it's always good and advisable. You're always absolutely able to have your own representation and bring that. So there's somebody that is solely dedicated to you and what's in your best interest and working on your behalf in that way. And then 16% saying, because I don't think what real estate agents do is hard, and confident that I can do it myself. And, a lot of people, that's, I think, on the selling side where you see for sale by owner type things come in, is that folks go out there and they say, you know what, I'm not going to pay an agent to do this. I can do it myself. I'm fine with it. And that's fine. There's always a percentage of people that are going to want to do that on their own. There's a great percentage of people that use an agent because their time is valuable. They don't want to have to deal with coordinating showings and all the things that come with listings. So at the end of the day, as an industry, to consumers, to you consumers watching this, we need to do a better job as an industry as a whole, of all agents out there. And I know there are agents out there who do a good job. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking as a whole, painting a broad brushstroke here, that we need to do a better job of showing our value and the things that we do to advocate for our clients, the things that we do behind the scenes that aren't always easily seen or as readily seen to folks who are watching. So anyway, that's the hot take. We need to do a better job at that. So again, if you have a thought about this, I'd love to know what it is. What do you think? What value do real estate agents bring, or what are your thoughts? So leave me a comment as you're watching this. And yeah, so there's the hot take for the day. Our next topic, we'll just move right along here so I can cram all the information I want to into this 30-minute time frame, is we are going to talk about the December 2023 Market Action Report. And that is released by the RMLS. That is the MLS that covers the Portland, Oregon metro area. And what they do is on a monthly basis, they release information from the previous month. So the December data, we got that here in the month of January, and it kind of ties a nice little bow on all of 2023. We can get an idea of where we're going into with 2024. So again, with most of this information, a lot of it's pretty high level. There's a lot of jargon on this thing we're going to look at here in just a second. So I don't want to spend a ton of time with semantics of that, but we'll talk about just a few very basic things. And that is really the top things that you as a home buyer or home seller would need to know about this information, that if you're tracking things or if you're looking to make a purchase or whatever in the near future, this is good information for you to know and keep an eye on. So let's take a look at this market action report, shall we? So this is the first page. And so the first thing you need to know is really over here, there's a box on the right-hand side that says inventory in months. This is going to show you, going back to 2021, what our monthly inventory was. And how I can explain that to you in lay terms is that the months of inventory is about how long it would take for all the homes on the market to sell, assuming no other houses or properties came to the market at all. So if we look at December of 2023, we came in at 2.7 months. So that means it would take about 2.7 months to sell everything. You can also see throughout the year that the low in 2023 was 1.6 months, and the high was 3.5 there in November. We hadn't seen 3.5 months of inventory for quite a few years. And if you go back to 2021 in December, you'll see it was probably about the lowest inventory maybe we've ever seen historically, with 0.6 months of inventory. So basically just about a half a month of inventory. Homes were selling like gangbusters back then. So all this to say, remember also that, what does this mean in terms of the market we're in? Well, this is one way you can judge if we're in a buyer's or seller's market. The rule is generally believed that if you have 6 months of inventory or more, then you would be considered to be in a buyer's market. Anything under 6 months of inventory means that you would be in a seller's market. So you look at this and you say 2.7 months, we are solidly still in a seller's market category. However, I will say over the past year, buyers have had greater opportunity to negotiate with sellers because there hasn't been as much competition for the homes that are available. So it's actually a return to a normal pace, which feels pretty good, I would say, for a lot of buyers who are out there and able to make a purchase today. So that's the first thing, is understanding that months of inventory. The next piece on here, we're going to go, and unfortunately, that doesn't look very, it's hard to see on this PDF, so my apologies for that. But if you look at the median sale price here in December of 2023, we were looking at $525,000. So median means middle. So if we took all the houses that sold in the metro area in the month of December and listed them from low to high, we would find that 525,000 was about the middle. It's not a perfect example or estimate of what the actual sales prices are for your area, because again, this is a big picture type data for you to consider. It is not hyper local to your neighborhood. So what's happening in your neighborhood and in your backyard, if you're curious about your property specifically, I would say that is going to be much more meaningful, although as a region, these trends, do have some validity for you. So then you have so that median sales price, and why we look at that is, well, that's about what homes are selling for in today's market, or what that looked like in the month of December. So you can say 525,000 was about the median price for homes in the Portland, Oregon metro area. So then if we go over the other item we're going to look at on here, the third thing is your total market time. So when we look at that information, that really boils down to about how long it's taking for homes to sell in today's market. So in the month of December, our total market time was about 60 days. So if we go back to December of 2022, we were at about 55 days total market time. So it has gone up a little bit. It took a little less time back in December of 22 to sell homes, but not just a few days. So anyway, interesting pieces of information to look at. So why would you care about this if you were buying a home? So if you're doing this and you work with an agent, I would suggest taking a look at what these average or median sale prices are for the area you're looking in, whether that's the zip code or the city. And that's going to enable you to say, okay, so this is kind of the area, the prices we're looking at in this general area. Does that fit our budget? You can also look at that total market time and say, okay, so it's taking about 60 days for homes to sell in our market. So if a home's been on the market for a little bit longer or for longer than that time, you might have a shot at negotiation. May not always be the case, but it is something that you can look for opportunities. As a seller, you'll take this information and you will say, okay, so homes are selling for about this much. Where does my home fall into that category? Are we above that? Are we less than that? How does that compare to the market? That's where you'd work with an agent to determine what that price could be and help you take a look at the market and how your house plays into that. And also total market time, you could say, well, about how long is it going to take for my house to sell? And you can work from there and plan accordingly. And it's also a realistic figure. It used to be that if you look at year-to-date 2022, which again, I'm really sorry, that's hard to see, it was 29 days in 2022. So that's changed quite a bit. So you have to really be careful when you're looking to sell your house at making an assumption that it's going to sell in a weekend and it's going to get several offers and go for a crazy amount of money over ask, because that just may not be the case. So that is the market action report for the Portland, Oregon metro area. That's what we saw coming out of the month of December and how it all shook out for 2023. So if you have questions about that or you want to know more, just leave a comment and I would love to address that with you as well. So final topic is we're going to get into, is it a good idea to buy a home in the wintertime, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. If you live anywhere in the United States, I don't think the last several days have been very much fun for a lot of people. It's been cold. We had that cold front that came through and kind of left a wintry, icy blast across the US, and especially here in the Pacific Northwest. We got, I always joke and tell people that ask, a lot of people who ask about what it's like to live in Oregon or who are considering moving here, they ask me if it snows here or if we get winter weather. And I usually say it snows in Oregon, but here in the Willamette Valley where I'm at, we get that week or that one wintry event. Sorry, my dog is gonna go ballistic here. So my son's here, and he's upstairs, and he knocked, so the dog thinks somebody's at the door. There's no invisible person here. It's all right. So, anyway, I usually tell people when they ask about snow that we get about one wintry event every year, and it doesn't usually stick around. It goes away after at the most, about a week. Um, and the rest of the winter is the typical gray and rainy. So we're hopefully coming through the end of our winter event for 2024. And so as I'm looking out there and I was thinking about it, it's not a fun time to be out buying a house. It's not a fun time to be moving in weather like we get here in Oregon, where it's wintry snow and it's 45 degrees, and that it's just generally not fun to move or to look at houses. It's squishy around in the yards, it's muddy, and the yard doesn't look pretty. It's just a different way of looking at things when you buy a house in the winter. But I would argue that actually it's probably one of the better times that you can actually buy a house for a number of reasons. One reason is that usually competition is quite a bit lower in the winter time. So when you're out shopping for a home, you're not going to be beating down the door with tens of other people. And if it's a neighborhood that's in high demand, you might find there are fewer buyers out there looking in the winter. Not always the case. It all depends on the area, but so you do have that. The other thing I think is really interesting about buying a home in the winter is the fact that the weather's happening. It's when we get the bad weather in the state of Oregon. So if you want to know how a house is going to hold up to any type of element that Mother Nature is going to throw at it, the wintertime is a great time to do that because you've got rain, you've got snow, you've got ice, and especially with the amount of rain we get, it's a great time to see how's that house standing up. So you go tour, you look around the property, and there's several things that you could be looking for. You could say, is there water pooling up around the foundation on the outside of the house? And if that's the case, you could say, oh, well, there might be drainage issues. Is that water going under the foundation? Is it causing issues in the crawl space? Is the basement winter or weatherized or waterproofed? Sorry, is the basement waterproofed and finished so that there's not going to be flooding from excess rainwater outside? So those are some things you could look at. Are the downspouts and gutters functioning properly? Does it look like the roof is an absolute mess? Do you have water coming in from the roof? It's all sorts of things like that that you could see. Drafts, you could see how the windows hold up. Those are all things that you can see in the winter that are a lot easier to hide in the summertime. So definitely you got that aspect of it. And so those are really the top things I can think of in regards to if it's a good idea to buy a home in the winter. But I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you think the winter is a good time. And if it is, or if it's not, then tell me why it's a bad time. So we got through that stuff a lot faster than I expected. I had 30 minutes set aside to do this live stream, but I think for the first one, we covered a ton of information. Wanted to keep it short and sweet and engaging and keep it real with you. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And my name's Jennifer Schurter, and I'm a realtor with Real Broker, and I serve the Portland, Oregon metro area. So if you're curious about moving out here in the suburbs and you want to know what it's like, you have questions or whatever, want to connect, just connect with me. My YouTube channel is Living in Portland Suburbs. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Send me an email, send me a smoke signal, whatever works for you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.